You open your banking app on a Tuesday morning, coffee in hand. You check your balance and think, okay, decent. Not rich, but decent. Then you go to the grocery store. Same cart you've been buying for 3 years. Eggs, bread, chicken, some vegetables, maybe a bag of chips because you're human. You get to the register, $147. For groceries. The same groceries that cost you $89 in 2019. You stand there, card in hand, genuinely confused. Did I grab lobster by accident? Did I accidentally put Wagyu beef in here? No, just eggs, just bread, just the basics. And here's what really gets me. You leave that store, you get in your car, and you start doing mental math. Your rent went up $400 this year. Your car insurance somehow costs more, even though you haven't had an accident in 6 years. Your streaming services, which used to be the cheap alternative to cable, now cost more than cable ever did. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this little voice saying, maybe I'm just bad with money. Maybe everyone else figured this out and I'm the one who can't keep up. That voice is wrong. And I'm going to prove it to you today with nothing but elementary school math. Because what's happening to your wallet right now isn't your fault. It's not about your spending habits. It's not about avocado toast or lattes or whatever condescending garbage they've been feeding you. What's happening is something so fundamentally broken that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the people who benefit from this mess are praying you never figure it out. I'm Noah, and today we're going to break down the single most misunderstood force destroying your financial life. Something a 10-year-old can understand, but somehow nobody explains. Something that every bank, every corporation, every politician understands perfectly well, but hopes you never will. So let's talk about what's actually happening to your money while you sleep. Here's what nobody tells you about being an adult in America right now. Everything you were taught about money is based on a world that doesn't exist anymore. Your parents told you to save. Your teachers told you to be responsible. Every financial advisor tells you to put money aside for the future. And all of that advice assumes one thing, that $1 today will be worth roughly $1 tomorrow. But that's not how it works. That's not how it's worked for a long time. See, the average American household earns about $59,000 a year. That puts you right in the middle, normal, median, whatever you want to call it. And according to every financial expert, every self-help book, every podcast about money, you should be able to build wealth on that income if you just make smart choices. But here's what those experts conveniently forget to mention. In 1990, that same $59,000 had the purchasing power of about $140,000 in today's money. Let me say that differently. If you're making 60 grand today, you have the equivalent buying power of someone making 25 grand in 1990. You're not keeping up with your parents. You're not even in the same race. You're running on a treadmill that's speeding up while everyone screams at you to run faster. And if that math makes you angry, congratulations, you're paying attention. But wait, everyone says prices go up. That's normal. That's just how economies work. Your boss says it. Your landlord says it. The news says it. So what's the actual problem here? The problem is that they're lying about the numbers. Not completely lying, just lying enough that you can't see what's really going on. When the government tells you inflation is 3%, they're using a formula that was redesigned specifically to show lower numbers. I'm not making this up. In 1983 and again in 1998, they changed how inflation is calculated. They removed things that were going up too fast. They added substitution adjustments, which basically means if steak gets too expensive and you switch to chicken, they count that as prices staying the same. Your quality of life went down, but on paper, everything's fine. Using the original calculation method from before 1980, real inflation right now isn't 3%. It's closer to 10 or 11% annually. Let me repeat that number, 11%, every single year. You know what that means? It means if you have $10,000 sitting in a savings account earning 0.5% interest, you're not saving money. You're losing about $1,000 in purchasing power every single year. Your money is literally evaporating, not slowly, rapidly. And the bank is thanking you for the privilege of holding it. Now, let's make this actually real, because numbers on a screen are easy to ignore. Let's talk about someone I'll call Mike and Sarah. Composite people, but their numbers are real. They're exactly the couple that should be doing fine. Combined household income of $92,000. That's above average, top 35% of American households. They're doing everything right by conventional standards. Mike works in logistics. Sarah is a dental hygienist. 2 incomes. No crazy spending. They meal prep on Sundays. They haven't taken a real vacation in 3 years. They drive reasonable cars. They don't have design or anything. By every definition, they are responsible people. Here's their actual monthly breakdown. Gross income $8,300 combined. After taxes, health insurance, and retirement contributions, they bring home $5,900. That's their real money to work with. Rent for a 2-bedroom apartment, not in Manhattan, not in San Francisco, just a regular mid-sized city, $1,900. Car payments for 2 used vehicles, $640. Car insurance, $218. Groceries for 2 adults, $720. Utilities including phone and internet, $340. Gas to get to work, $280. Minimum payments on student loans, $410. That's $4,508. Gone. Before they've done anything except exist and go to work. They have $1,392 left for literally everything else. Health expenses not covered by insurance, pet costs, clothing, home supplies, birthday gifts, car maintenance, any form of entertainment whatsoever. And here's what those $1,300 actually feel like in real life. It's Mike staring at a check engine light for 3 weeks hoping it's nothing because he knows a diagnostic alone costs $150. It's Sarah calculating whether she can stretch her prescription an extra week by skipping doses. It's both of them pretending they're not hungry on the nights they decide eating out is too expensive. It's the low-grade anxiety at 3 a.m. wondering what happens if the refrigerator breaks. It's avoiding their parents' calls because they're tired of explaining why they haven't bought a house yet. It's the quiet, grinding exhaustion of doing everything right and still feeling like you're failing. Not dramatically failing. Just slowly, silently, perpetually, almost failing. And here's what really makes this devastating. Mike and Sarah's rent was $1,500 3 years ago. Their groceries were $540. Their car insurance was $160. Same apartment, same cars, same eating habits, but everything costs more now. 3 years of so-called moderate inflation ate $8,000 of their annual budget. They didn't get $8,000 lazier. They didn't make $8,000 worth of bad decisions. They just existed while the ground shifted under their feet. Now multiply this by the 70% of American households earning less than Mike and Sarah. What happens to them? They're not stretching. They're not careful budgeting. They're choosing between medication and food, between rent and car payments, between staying employed and staying alive. So who benefits from this? Who's actually winning while everyone else drowns? Here's where it gets infuriating. When new money enters the economy, it doesn't arrive equally to everyone at the same time. The Federal Reserve creates money. That money goes to banks first. Banks loan it to corporations and wealthy individuals first. By the time that money filters down to your grocery store, to your paycheck, to your landlord, prices have already adjusted upward. The people who got the money first spent it at yesterday's prices. You're paying tomorrow's prices with yesterday's wages. This is called the Cantillon effect, an 18th century observation that nobody talks about on the news. The people closest to the money printer gain wealth. Everyone else loses it. That's not conspiracy. That's basic monetary mechanics. And it's been accelerating for 50 years. Banks benefit because they borrow at near zero rates and lend to you at 7%. Corporations benefit because they raise prices while keeping wages flat. Asset owners benefit because their houses and stocks inflate in value while your rent inflates alongside. Politicians benefit because they can spend without directly raising taxes, and you'll blame yourself instead of them. Nobody in this system has any incentive to explain it to you. They need you confused. They need you to think inflation is some natural force like weather, something that just happens, something nobody can control. Because if you understood that this is a choice, that your suffering has architects, that there are people actively profiting while you struggle, you might start asking uncomfortable questions. You might vote differently. You might demand differently. And that's the last thing they want. So let me give you the permission that nobody else will. It's not your fault that you can't save money. It's not a character flaw. It's not poor planning. You're fighting arithmetic, and the arithmetic is rigged. Every generation before 1980 could expect their savings to grow, could expect homes to cost 3 times their salary, not 8 times, could expect their hard work to compound. You're working just as hard, probably harder, and you're punished for it. And all those people telling you to just budget better, invest earlier, sacrifice more, they're not wrong about the tactics. They're wrong about the game. They're giving you chess strategies while the board is on fire. Here's what I actually want you to understand. Stop measuring yourself against a standard designed for a different economy. Stop feeling guilty for not hitting milestones that are mathematically impossible for most people now. Your grandparents could buy a house on one income, not because they were tougher, because houses cost $17,000. Your worth as a person has nothing to do with an economic system designed to extract from you. If you're looking at your bank account wondering why it never seems to grow no matter what you do, stop wondering. The answer is 11% annual purchasing power destruction that nobody's being honest about. The answer is a system where your savings are fuel for someone else's wealth. The answer is that you were taught rules for a game that changed before you started playing. What actually matters? Actually building a life that makes sense with real numbers. Not fantasy numbers from 1985. Not aspirational numbers from finance influencers with trust funds. Your real numbers. What you actually earn. What things actually cost. What you can actually do. Sometimes that means renting forever. Sometimes that means not having kids. Sometimes that means building a life that looks nothing like what you were promised. And that's not failure. That's adaptation. That's intelligence. That's refusing to break yourself chasing something designed to stay out of reach. The people who understand this aren't cynical. They're free. Free from guilt that was never theirs to carry. Free from metrics that were never meant for them to achieve. Free from a game that was rigged before their first paycheck. My name is Noah. Now you know what a 10-year-old could understand, but nobody wanted to teach you. What you do with that knowledge is up to you. But at least now, you're playing with your eyes open.